Coachlife. One of my first jobs was on Court Street. I was a paralegal in Brooklyn. I think it was my first job out of college. It was. I was a paralegal in Brooklyn. I was working for an attorney who was also a reverend, black, wonderful woman. And I was in a suite with a bunch of other attorneys. One was a former judge turned attorney, very sharp guy. He represented a lot of famous rappers and entertainers. And that's where I first got to read the riders. Riders are, entertainers have contracts, and then those contracts have additional requests, and those are called riders. They were hilarious. 15 buckets of fried chicken, 6 bottles of champagne. It was great. I worked for a different kind of attorney. She was a reverend as well as an attorney. Southern, very, just the warmest heart and a very considerate person. She wasn't interested in buckets of fried chicken. One of the more valuable moments I experienced working on Court Street is I had a revelation one day, because I realized when you express disappointment with your life, you're really expressing disappointment with God, in a sense. When you're in the why me mode, you're really expressing a certain disdain for God, because you, in that moment, you seem to think you know a better way for you to reach what you are here to reach. In that moment, you seem to think this is too much to bear. This is not fair. This is, other people have more. Why me? It's a certain disdain for God. So it was a revelation for me, because I expressed this to my boss, the attorney. I said, isn't, when people are upset about their position in life or complaining, isn't that a kind of disdain for God? Like, you think you know better than God? And I'll never forget her reaction. She thought about it. Like, it hit her somewhere. She's like, she's an attorney and a reverend, and here I am having a revelation that awakened something in her. So it stuck with me for a long time. Trust me, I learned far more from this amazing woman than this little moment. I'm just saying, it stuck with me. During it was maybe a year or 2 years I worked there. It became too much to me, because, to be honest with you, I don't like to lie or mislead, and there was just too many scenarios where I had to kind of cover my tracks, or cover, law is a dirty, disgusting arena. There's all types of trickery, and I just didn't like it. But so went my dreams of being a lawyer. I didn't want to be a lawyer. I just realized it was a way to make money, and it was something that I might be good at because I can present a decent argument. But I'm so glad I got bounced up out of that. One of the more refreshing experiences, and this might be a little, but hey, I'm human. One of the funnest experiences in that job was going in and out of the courts, talking to the judges, getting signatures, just learning the city. And, New York City is such a beautiful, complex, there's so many layers to it. and to be able to learn it at a paralegal's level is a very privileged, amazing experience, especially as I'm in an office full of Black attorneys. So our conversations, our lunches, I'm a sponge. And I can't tell you how many times that conference room was just flooded with just the most passionate debates about Black people in America, justice, how to move forward, yada, yada, yada. Shout out to my man's Mississippi, Maine. We used to build. His pops was a private investigator who worked with the office quite often. And shout out to Kia. So now, it's just so many people. I don't want to make anyone feel funny, but all of the 4 people who watch these. What was I saying? Oh yeah, one of the more powerful parts was moving in and out of the courts, talking to the judges and the other attorneys. Listen, somebody could be on trial for their life, right? In front of this judge. And I knew the feeling too, because I already got, I was in my situation. I knew what it felt like to be before the judge. I knew what it felt like to be in jail. I knew the feeling of being I knew the feeling, right? But I walk in, you go through the metal detectors, all of that. And I have a paralegal's attire. I walk into the courtroom. I go around, I literally walk by a person multiple times. This happened dozens and dozens of times. That's what I'm saying. I walk past people's life in the balance, and I go straight up to the judge. I tell the court officer I need to get this signature from the judge or get this okay for whatever. I walk straight up to the judge and talk to the judge. And the judge, handles the side business and then carries on with this person's life. And it showed me so much about the world and New York City specifically, which is arguably the greatest city in the world. It also illuminated a few things that just recently are making sense. So obviously I didn't become a lawyer, but in that period, I learned so much. For example, I learned how foreclosures worked. And for those of you who don't know, there's entire the real estate industry, a good portion of it is based off of foreclosures. Now, I saw tons of budding entrepreneurs, seasoned entrepreneurs hit the courtroom at a certain time. There's a foreclosure read. They bid on properties. They buy them for cheap because they're foreclosures. They flip them. They keep doing this. It's easy money. Until you realize what a foreclosure is. Until you realize that this is somebody's home who, for whatever reason, had to let it go. Basically, the bank took it for a lack of payment. And so whatever the value of that home was, that's not being shared with them. So they could have built that home up, not to include the years, just the actual value of it. When it gets foreclosed, they're forfeiting the value of the home, the bank's taking it. And in the Black community, it is a really tragic, talk about wealth transfer. And people are buying these homes for cheap just because they have capital. Think about that. Is that the kind of society you want to live in? So thankfully, recently, I realized why I didn't get into real estate. I do not like real estate agents. I do not like, and that was another thing. I was very close to I might still dip a toe in. But yeah, so I'm having a lot of illuminations and clarities. I don't want to pretend that this is just a magical time. I'm going through things. I had somebody call me a B word yesterday, and I had to take it because they were just tripping. But it made sense energetically. But we also saved the water. So shout out to Free. All right, this got to be a shorter Coach Life because I got to go lesson plan. Ciao.